Waves, Light and Sound Test, Paper 2, 40 questions, should only take you 45 minutes. Let's go through it, question by question. Question number 1. Which row shows the nature of light waves, sound waves and X-rays? Well, X-ray is a type of light. Okay, it's not visible, but it's certainly a transverse wave. Therefore, light waves are transverse waves, and all sound waves are longitudinal. That means question number 1's answer is C. Question number 2, the diagram shows the image of an object formed by a converging lens. What is the focal length of the lens? The focal length is the distance between the center of the lens and where the ray crosses the axis. Now, this question's a little naughty because normally we have the ray that goes along the top and then through the focal point and all the way to the image, but they've done it in reverse. So the answer here is 40 centimeters, it's A. It's in reverse. Because remember, the focal point should be symmetrical either side, therefore the focal length is also symmetrical either side. The length is the distance between the center of the lens and the focal point. Question number 3, why can ultrasound not be heard by humans? Well, the human hearing range is between 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz. In other words, 20 waves per second or 20,000 waves per second. Therefore, the answer is B because the frequency is too high, it's too great. Question number 4, radio waves are received at a house at the bottom of a hill. The waves reach the house because the hill has caused them to be diffracted. This bending effect or this curving effect you see round an obstacle is what we call diffraction. The answer is A. Question number 5. Visible light has a frequency of approximately 5 times 10 to the 14. M and N are two other types of electromagnetic radiation. The frequency of M is 5 times 10 to the power 6, and the frequency of N is 5 times 10 to the power 15. Which type of radiation are M and N? This is not a really nice question at all. Basically, you're supposed to know the order of the electromagnetic spectrum. And this order could be reversed, but the order itself is the same. So if we were to start with long wavelength, then long wavelength would be low frequency, in other words, radio and TV waves. Short wavelength and high frequency would be something like gamma rays. So the only appropriate one here where we've got long wavelength at the beginning of radio waves is A and B. And to have that high frequency is ultraviolet. Okay. This is not such an easy question to do, but if you were to do V equals F lambda and you roughly knew the wavelength of either, you could figure out the frequency, but that would be far too difficult. So what you're looking for here is low frequency being longer wavelength and higher frequency being shorter wavelength. The answer is B for ball. Question number 6. The diagram shows the dispersion of white light by a prism. Which row could be correct for the colours at X, Y and Z? Well, remember it's Roy Gibiv or Richard of York gave battle in vain. In other words, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. So based on that order, I hope you can see the answer is B. Once again, red, orange, yellow, green, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy Gibiv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Number 7. A sound wave has a certain amplitude and a certain frequency. A second sound wave is quieter and lower in pitch than the first sound wave. Well, quieter means smaller amplitude. And lower pitch is to do with the number of waves per second. Lower pitch means lower frequency. Therefore, the answer to number 7 is D for donkey. Smaller amplitude and smaller frequency. Number 8. The diagram shows a ray of light in air incident on a glass block. Some of the light is refracted and some of the light is reflected. Two angles P and Q are marked on the diagram. Which row gives the angle of incidence and shows whether the ray undergoes total internal reflection? Okay, so the angle of incidence is always between the normal and the ray of light, and the normal here and the ray of light, the angle in between is Q, so the angle of incidence is quite clearly Q. Well, some of it's refracted, so you've definitely not got total internal reflection. So the angle of incidence is Q. Is it totally internally reflected? Well, no, not by that diagram, it's not. So the answer is C. Question number 9. What is the approximate range of hearing of a healthy human ear? As I said earlier, it's 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Or in this case 20 Hz to 20 kHz, which is another name for 20,000 Hz. The answer is D for donkey. Question number 10. What is the unit of wavelength? Well, wavelength, it's a length that has to be meter, so the answer to 10 is B for ball.